Hello viewers, I'm your host Pratiksha Mishra with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show. India, as the world's fastest growing economy with increasing political significance, is enhancing global connections. The recent visit by Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim highlighted efforts to strengthen bilateral ties across various sectors and elevate India's role in the Indo-Pacific. With Malaysia set to chair ASEAN in 2025, both nations are committed to regional stability, economic integration and sustainable development. Here's the report.
India and Malaysia share a dynamic and evolving relationship marked by cooperation across multiple dimensions. Both countries maintain a strategic partnership, collaborating on regional and global issues including security and international trade. On August 20, 2024, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, visited India, accepting the invitation of the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, to undertake a state visit. This was the Malaysian Prime Minister's first visit to the South Asian region and the first meeting between the two Prime Ministers, allowing them to take stock of the enhanced strategic ties. The wide-ranging discussions included many areas that make India-Malaysia relations multi-layered and multifaceted.
आज हमने निर्णय लिया है कि हमारी साझेदारी को कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रैटेजिक पार्टनरशिप के रूप में एलिवेट किया जाएगा। हमारा मानना है कि आर्थिक सहयोग में अभी और बहुत पोटेंशियल है।
Both Prime Ministers engaged in comprehensive discussions covering a broad spectrum of bilateral cooperation including political, defense and security matters as well as economic and trade relations. They also addressed collaboration in digital technologies, startups, fintech, energy with a focus on renewables, healthcare, higher education, culture, tourism and people-to-people exchanges. Additionally, the leaders observed the signing of memoranda of understanding in various fields. The agreements exchanged between the Loban Financial Services Authority and the International Financial Services Centres Authority of India covered a range of areas including recruitment, employment and repatriation of workers. The agreements also addressed collaboration in culture, arts and heritage.
नए तकनीकी क्षेत्रों जैसे कि सेमीकंडक्टर, फिनटेक, रक्षा उद्योग, एआई और क्वांटम में हमें आपसी सहयोग बढ़ाना चाहिए।
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी is मेरे दोस्ती।
In a bold statement underscoring Malaysia's commitment to deepening bilateral ties, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim declared a new chapter in the country's relationship with India. Speaking with a vision for the future, Prime Minister Ibrahim highlighted Malaysia's determination to reinvigorate cooperation across various sectors, aiming to leverage mutual strengths and address contemporary challenges.
We have initiated a lot of new programs and we would hope that Indian companies with Malaysian companies collaborate further in all fields, including the new challenging areas like energy transition, digitalization and also food security. And we did emphasize the need to use both our experience and expertise in the semiconductor area.
The future of the India-Malaysia relationship is said to be characterized by enhanced cooperation, mutual growth, and a focus on addressing contemporary challenges. As both countries continue to build on their strengths and shared interests, their partnership will likely evolve into a robust and multifaceted alliance with a significant global impact.
India is undeniably playing a crucial role in promoting global peace, stability and trade enhancement. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Poland and Ukraine amidst the ongoing conflict between Moscow and Kyiv sends a powerful signal to the international community. It underscores India's commitment to peace, dialogue, adherence to the UN Charter and the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity of nations. Take a look.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertook a visit to both Poland and Ukraine amidst the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. This diplomatic trip aimed to strengthen international ties and demonstrate solidarity during a period of heightened geopolitical tension. In Poland, Prime Minister Modi's visit likely focused on enhancing bilateral relations and discussing regional security concerns. The visit reflected India's commitment to engaging with key European partners and supporting global stability. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Poland marked the first time in 45 years that an Indian premier had travelled to the country. This trip underscored India's desire to renew and strengthen its relationship with Poland, the sixth largest economy in the European Union and a growing military force in Central Europe.
फ्रेंड, यूक्रेन और पश्चिम एशिया में चल रहे संघर्ष हम सभी के लिए गहरी चिंता का विषय है। भारत का यह दृढ़ विश्वास है कि किसी भी समस्या का समाधान रणभूमि में नहीं हो सकता। किसी भी संकट में मासूम लोगों की जान की हानि पूरी मानवता के लिए सबसे बड़ी चुनौती बन गई है। हम शांति और स्थिरता की जल्द से जल्द बहाली के लिए डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी का समर्थन करते हैं। इसके लिए भारत अपने मित्र देशों के साथ मिलकर हर संभव सहयोग देने के लिए तैयार है।
Bardzo się cieszę, że pan premier potwierdził gotowość zaangażowania, swojego osobistego zaangażowania w pokojowe, sprawiedliwe, szybkie zakończenie wojny. Jesteśmy obaj przekonani, że Indie mogą odegrać tutaj bardzo ważną rolę i pozytywną rolę. Co ma znaczenie ta deklaracja, szczególnie, że za kilkanaście godzin pan premier będzie gościł w Kijowie.
Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ukraine took place amid severe conflict and turmoil, underscoring India's potential role in helping to resolve the crisis. The trip had several objectives: to express India's solidarity with Ukraine, to engage in high-level discussions about the ongoing situation, and to explore opportunities for cooperation between the two countries. Moreover, the visit sought to support international efforts to address and ultimately resolve the crisis, highlighting India's commitment to advancing global stability and peace. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ukraine generated optimism about the possibility of resolving the crisis with Russia. Prime Minister Modi's engagement was seen as a potential catalyst for advancing peace efforts and encouraging constructive dialogue between the conflicting parties. The visit raised expectations that India's involvement could contribute to finding a resolution and alleviating the ongoing tensions in the region.
We all need a peace, but we must understand red lines for this peace. And I very hope that Mr. Modi will be one of important advocation of this process.
With Prime Minister Modi's visit marking a significant diplomatic effort, both Poland and Ukraine expressed hope that India's involvement would pave the way for a constructive dialogue and a peaceful resolution to the ongoing conflict. The international community anticipates that these efforts will contribute to long-term stability in the region.
Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent.
Relentless monsoon rains and flooding have left nearly 3 million people stranded in Bangladesh, inundating extensive areas and causing significant damage to homes and infrastructure. Television footage revealed severe flooding in several districts where torrents of flood water were rushing through streets, roads were heavily submerged, and people were being rescued using ropes. Several regions have been cut off due to damaged roads, isolating communities and complicating relief efforts. The Flood Forecasting and Warning Center has issued a warning that with the ongoing rains, water levels could continue to rise, heightening concerns about further flooding and displacement. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet attended a homecoming ceremony for several centuries-old antiquities looted from the country during war and unrest. Cambodian Prime Minister laid garlands in front of ancient statues on display during the ceremony, which was attended by several government officials and US diplomats. Among the 70 items on display, 14 sculptures were repatriated from New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art last year and arrived in Cambodia on July 3rd. The other 56 items came from private collections previously stolen from Cambodia. A bus carrying Pakistani pilgrims overturned in central Iran, killing several people. The accident was caused by a technical defect in the bus's braking system, according to the initial investigations made by the Iranian traffic police. Millions of Shiite Muslims are currently partaking in the Arba'in pilgrimage in Iraq's Karbala Governorate. The event marks the centuries-old 40th day mourning event following the killing of Imam Hussein bin Ali, a central figure in Shiite Islam and the grandson of Prophet Muhammad in the year 680 AD.
Moving on. As Sri Lanka prepares for its pivotal presidential election on September 21st, the political scene is heating up with the main candidates actively campaigning across the nation. The election comes at a critical juncture for Sri Lanka, which has been grappling with severe economic difficulties, including a financial crisis that has led to significant hardships for many citizens.
Sri Lanka's main presidential candidates kick-started their campaigns recently, drawing thousands of people to their rallies ahead of the crucial September 21st vote. Drone footage showed large crowds of people listening to speeches by three frontrunners: incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe, main opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, and Marxist-leaning parliamentarian Anura Kumara.
ජනතාව වින්දේ දුක අපි දන්නවා මම නෑ කියන්නේ මම දන්නවා අපි වැට් වැඩි කරද්දී ඇති උනේ බර මම නැහැ කියන්නේ කරන්ට සිදු වුණා මේ තත්ත්වයට එන්න කැමැත්තෙන් කරේ නෑ අකමැත්තෙන් කරේ.
The upcoming presidential election in Sri Lanka is set against the backdrop of the country's most severe financial crisis in recent history. This crisis, which began to escalate significantly in 2022, resulted from the nation exhausting its foreign reserves. The depletion of these reserves triggered a cascade of economic failures, including a dramatic decline in the economy and a default on foreign debt. This financial turmoil has deeply impacted the lives of Sri Lankans, leading to widespread shortages of essential goods, skyrocketing inflation, and a general erosion of public trust in the government. As the nation grapples with these profound economic challenges, the presidential election on September 21 becomes a critical juncture.
අද මේ ඓතිහාසික අවස්ථාවේ අපේ රටේ ඉතිහාසය අලුතෙන් ලියවෙන මොහොතක මම ආරාධනා කරනවා ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම මේ වැඩපිළිවෙලේ සාක්ෂිකරුවන් බවට පමණක් පත් නොවී ඔබත් මේ වැඩසටහනේ නියමුවන් නායකින් පංගුකරුවන් හවුල්කරුවන් කොටස්කරුවන් බවට පත් වෙලා රට දිනවන අලුත් ගමනට ඔබ සියලු දෙනාගේම සහයෝගය ශක්තිය ලබා දෙන්නයි කියලා මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා.
The outcome of this election is crucial for determining how Sri Lanka will navigate its current economic crisis and work towards recovery. The new president will inherit the immense task of addressing the economic collapse and restoring stability to a country that has been rocked by unprecedented financial turmoil.
මෙතන ඉන්න බොහෝ දෙනා මීට කලින් ඡන්ද දැකලා තියෙනවා ඡන්ද දීලා තියෙනවා. මෙතන ඉන්න බොහෝ දෙනා මීට කලින් ආණ්ඩු හදලා තියෙනවා ආණ්ඩු පෙරලා තිබෙනවා. හැබැයි මේ සැප්තැම්බර් මාසේ 21 වෙනිදාට එන්නේ හුදු ආණ්ඩු පෙරලියක් හුදු නායකයන්ගේ මාරුවක් හුදු ඡන්දයක් නෙවෙයි. මේ රට වෙනස් කරන ඡන්දේ ජාතික ජනබලවේගය ජයග්‍රහණය කරන ඡන්දේ.
Voter turnout and engagement will be pivotal in shaping the next steps for the nation, as the new leadership will be expected to implement policies and reforms aimed at economic recovery and stabilization. The results of this election will not only reflect the public's response to the current administration's handling of the crisis, but also set the course for Sri Lanka's path forward in overcoming its economic difficulties.
As Bangladesh grapples with severe instability, the interim government led by Nobel Peace Laureate Muhammad Yunus is finding it challenging to restore normalcy. Amidst this turmoil, indigenous communities have seized the opportunity to push for their rights, demanding constitutional recognition. Despite the government's assurances, significant doubts persist regarding the effectiveness of its efforts. Here's the latest report.
Amid the backdrop of a turbulent political landscape, indigenous communities in Bangladesh recently seized the movement to advocate for their rights. Members from various Bangladeshi indigenous communities gathered in Dhaka to celebrate the newly formed interim government and voice long-standing demands for constitutional recognition and rights.
আমরা বর্তমানে যে গভর্নমেন্ট সেটা স্বীকৃতি চাই আর আমরা আদিবাসী হয়ে আমাদের স্বীকৃতিটা আমরা চাচ্ছি।
Nobel Peace Laureate Muhammad Yunus has recently been thrust into the role of leader for Bangladesh's caretaker government following a period of intense violence that has severely destabilized the nation. This unrest forced Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to step down and flee to neighboring India, further exacerbating the country's turmoil. Under Yunus' interim administration, there are serious doubts about the effectiveness of efforts to restore peace and stability. Muhammad Tohid Hossain, the Foreign Affairs Advisor for the interim government, has highlighted the extensive but seemingly insufficient measures being taken to manage the crisis and stabilize the situation. The interim government's attempts to address these urgent issues and re-establish order come at a critical moment, but the effectiveness of their strategies remains questionable as the nation continues to grapple with ongoing instability and unrest.
All my colleagues in the Council of Advisors, they are extremely busy with bringing back the normalcy. Everyone has his job cut out. Law and order, legal affairs, then the Minister of Home's work, foreign affairs, the little that we are doing. And everyone has the jobs to cut out for the next 10, 15, 20 days. I think from September, things will, normalcy and normal way of functioning will start.
Recently, Bangladesh plunged into intense political and social turmoil characterized by extensive violence and unrest. This crisis, which escalated over several weeks, was driven by increasing discontent with the government and worsening economic conditions. The situation peaked when former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was compelled to resign under the intense pressure from the violent protests and demonstrations. In a dramatic development, she sought refuge in neighboring India, underscoring the severity of the situation and the inability of her administration to control the rapidly deteriorating crisis.
And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.